Alright, what's up you guys? Welcome to another episode of SHARKREALM. In today's episode, I wanted to briefly just go over a quick little tweet that Todd Garner had posted over on Twitter or X, which I'll have in the pinned comments or description below. But it appears that someone had asked Todd over on X or Twitter, how long will this movie be? And Todd responded with an hour and 56 minutes. So we're going to say about 2 hours. But maybe a little bit under because we have to include the whole credit sequence, which may take up at least, I don't know, 10 minutes of time. So we'll say like an hour and 46, and then plus the whole intro and stuff like that. So minus another like 5 to 10 minutes. So we'll say like an hour and 30-ish, an hour and a half roughly. Maybe I don't know, I'm just like speculating here, but I wanted to talk about the interesting factor of this being, let's just go with what he says, an hour and 56. Hopefully this excludes the credits and all that other stuff. But for this film, we know of the amount of characters that they're added, so it really just boils down to how much screen time each character will have, because we are aware of how many are in this movie, and there's a lot of loopholes and side storylines that need to be addressed before they kind of dive into other territories. So for example, the main emphasis of this movie hopefully and should be the tournament, which may or may not play like a significant essence in the foreground, but maybe in the background as the other characters are doing their thing. But then we also have to have the storyline that involves Liu Kang dealing with the loss or mourning the loss of his brother Kung Lao. So, and then we know that in the trailer that them two do fight each other, which is going to be tough. But we don't know if that's going to be Shang Tsung or not. But either way, he has to mourn the loss of Kung Lao. So that's one storyline. And then the other storyline has to involve Sonya Blade, Jax, and Kano. So because it's a special forces and the Black Dragon, they have their own storyline going on. So we have to kind of see how Kano will get his revenge on Sonya Blade, because she did stab him in the eye to get the Arcana tattoo or powers. Jax, I honestly don't really know what he's going to do in this movie, but perhaps he'll have some kind of screen time, because in the last film, other than fighting Sub-Zero, he briefly fought Reiko, and that was about it. Then we have the whole storyline involving, which will probably be the bigger storyline in the film, which involves Kitana, Sindel, King Jared, Shao Kahn, and Jade. So we know that Shao Kahn will invade from Outworld into Edenia. So from that point, we have to see how much time they will give us to fully adapt into Edenia, and how Kitana's feelings of losing her mother and father and then being raised or adopted by Shao Kahn, if that's even the case, and then the friendship between her and Jade. So again, we'll have to see how that turns out. And then we have the other storyline involving Scorpion and now Bihan, aka Noob Saibot. So we know at the end of the last film that Cole Young and Scorpion did a 2-on-1 fight with Sub-Zero, kicked his ass, and then Sub-Zero basically died and then faded into the ashes. So now we're going to have to see how those two come into play, because we haven't seen any indication of Quan Chi just yet, even though he is stated to be in the film. So we'll have to see how Quan Chi will play a factor in this. Will he have enough screen time? What emphasis will he have in the film in terms of, did he disguise himself as Sub-Zero, or did he disguise himself as Sub-Zero to kill Hanzo's wife and son, or are they going to switch things around, or will they introduce to us Shinnok's amulet? Anything is possible, but I think that might be too soon. So We'll see how that works out. And then we have Shang Tsung and Raiden, who still need to, I guess, beef in the film. So we'll see how that turns out in the sense of the tournament, because the first film they were kind of just getting their ideas across of how to summon the warriors. And then we know that Shang Tsung hasn't failed yet because the tournament hasn't started. So that's why they included Shao Kahn in there. So we'll see if Shang Tsung will probably fail in the second half of the film. Probably. Then we already know that, based on this photo here, that Baraka is in the film with the Tarkatans, and as cool as he looks, we know that this also coincides with Johnny Cage being at the Tarkatan village, and Johnny Cage having his whole redemption storyline, so that probably might take up half of the entire film. And then from there, we also have... I'm trying to think of who... Oh, then we have Cole Young. Now, there's a lot of people saying that Cole Young will probably die in this film, although we don't know just yet. But we still have to see how Cole Young will contribute to this storyline when he finds Johnny Cage. Will he go and speak with his wife and daughter that was in the first film? And yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty much all the characters that I can think of at the top of my head. So quite a roster, to say the least. Now I'm hoping that, aside from all the fights and fan service and blood and fatalities, that the storyline does do a good job in giving everyone like a steady pace within the 2 hours, so nothing feels too rushed like the first film or inconsistent. Therefore, I hope this movie does well. I'll definitely stay optimistic the best I can. I'm definitely watching this movie in theaters, but for now, with this being almost 2 hours of a film, let's see where this movie goes. So with that being said, I want to thank you guys all for watching. Be sure to give a like and subscribe, and leave a comment down below what you think about this movie being 1 hour and 56 minutes. And I'll talk to you all next episode.